creators, your new crowdfunding launch sidekick is here. The Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner from ComixLaunch is your ultimate step-by-step companion to planning, optimizing, and executing your crowdfunding campaign, helping hardworking creators stay organized, execute with confidence, and maximize success on every launch.
Hey, I'm Tyler James, publisher of Comics Tribe and host of the ComixLaunch podcast,
which has been helping comic creators launch successful crowdfunding campaigns for nearly a decade. In that time, I've seen the same struggles come up again and again. Making a great comic, but no idea where to start with crowdfunding it, overwhelm at all the steps to launch, and fear of missing something important, exhaustion during the campaign, and struggling with the emotional roller coaster of launching.
and finishing the campaign and still being unsure what worked, what didn't, and how to get better results the next time. If any of those challenges sound familiar,
you are not alone, and it's not your fault. Crowdfunding a comic requires a completely different skill set than making one. The good news is I have something that can help. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of ComixLaunch, I've distilled years of my own crowdfunding experience and the insights of hundreds of amazing guests I've had on the show into one essential tool. This new comic book crowdfunding planner is really 4 powerful books in one, designed to help during every phase of your launch. First, it's a launch planner, providing a step-by-step roadmap including guided templates and battle-tested ComixLaunch exercises to build a winning campaign. Second, it's an execution checklist, including action items and pro tips for every aspect of your project so you can launch with confidence. Third, it's a daily campaign journal with dedicated pages to track your campaign progress each day of your launch, prioritize your daily promotional activities, and stay in command of your project. And fourth, it's a post-launch debrief with a proven post-mortem process to capture what worked, what didn't, and what you'll improve on so that your next launch is even better. The Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner is perfect for first-time Kickstarter creators who want a clear roadmap from start to funded.
When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks.
I have raised over $40,000 US. Everything I have launched has been done using the ComixLaunch tools. It's been the backbone of my success as a creator.
Experienced crowdfunders who want to refine and optimize their launch processes and get to that next level of funding success.
I've raised over $30,000 on Kickstarter. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish this without ComixLaunch. Tyler's guides have made it an effortless and stress-free process.
Tailor-made specifically for comic book creators, writers, artists, and publishers looking to streamline their campaigns and optimize their crowdfunding efforts.
The ability to break down the daunting task of running a Kickstarter into small, well-defined, achievable tasks gave me the confidence to finally launch a campaign.
I really needed an instruction manual, and that is exactly what Tyler gave me.
Perfect for anyone who has struggled with crowdfunding overwhelm and could use a physical tool to help focus before, during, and after your launch.
The timing of finding Tyler and his work was perfect for me because I didn't know what I was doing.
What helped me was getting access to all of the tools that Tyler puts together.
6 campaigns raised about almost $27,000, and I can honestly say I wouldn't have had anywhere near the success without ComixLaunch.
The tools included in Tyler James' planner were essential to getting the ball rolling for me.
Everything I know about running Kickstarters I learned from ComixLaunch.
Finally, it's for all the thousands of ComixLaunch listeners who have been asking for a resource like this for nearly a decade. For rewards, the new planner is available in a number of formats. A beautiful physical planner with a durable faux leather cover, digital PDF version with ready-to-print pages, and discounted multi-pack bundles for creators and publishers with many project launches on the horizon. All backers will be thanked by name on the ComixLaunch podcast, and there's limited show sponsorship opportunities available. I'm also opening my schedule for a few one-on-one crowdfunding coaching and mentorship opportunities, and you can also get access to some of the ComixLaunch Pro courses during this campaign.
Let's make your next launch the best one ever.
Back the Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner today, and I can't wait to see what you launch next.
Prepare to launch in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, 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 everybody. Tyler James with Comics Launch. I'm here with you today, and I have another great conversation queued up and in the works coming soon for to you today. We've got a great panel of guests. They are graciously and patiently hanging out backstage. And I will be bringing them all on in just a bit, introducing you to them and talking about some of their projects and just having a great conversation about comics, crowdfunding, and everything that goes into this. But before I do that, I did want to just give some quick updates on the comic book crowdfunding planner launch, which is heading into its final hours. And I'm going to thank a few more backers. I'm going to teach a daily launch lesson. And then we're going to bring on the crew. Adriano, Allegra, Lisa, and ILYAgraphic are coming here. If there are questions, I know there are some people that are already tuned in. What's up, Jolly12? Love the image there. Come ask away and suggest topics or conversations. We'd love to have those. But first and foremost, did want to just give a quick shout out to the folks that are supporting the new Comics Launch project here. We are closing in on 525 backers, a nice surge just in the last hour. Last I checked, when I woke up this morning, we were at about 500, a little over 500, and we've already picked up about 20 backers today, which is pretty amazing, as we have 35 hours to go. Over 500% funded, over 18.5K raised. Definitely now this is officially exceeded expectations for what this launch was going to do. And so I can't thank everyone that supported it enough. And I'm really excited just to put this book into your hands. If you haven't, if you supported it, whether it's digitally or physically, really do appreciate y'all. And so I want to take this opportunity to give a personal shout out and thank to a batch of backers. Thank you, John Laney, Grant Lankard, Amin Amat, Lowe, Daniel McGinnis, Paul Aza, Josh Hood, Sonder Winters, David Ramirez, James Thorpe, Eric Wolfgang, Tim D, Christian Douglas, who we just had on the podcast, Julius Lindsay, Sonia Kinsey, Amber Radin, Austin Allen Hamlin, Tim Baksh, New Wave Comics, Chris McFall, Lori Grandmont, Brian Swan, Michael Sepsi, Richard Paul Wielden, Kevin Michael Rowe, Farhan Qureshi, Christopher Herbert, Dreaming City Books, John, Roger Terry, Not Dead Yet Productions, great name, Richard Starkings, classic letterer and super talented creator, XL, Scotty Lamb, Adam Murphy, Neisha Haynes, Mike Connell, longtime Comics Launch Mastermind member. Shout out to you, Mike, and Douglas, and Sean Van Briesen. And yeah, you know, when you're doing Kickstarter campaigns, I'll tell you, like, you can kind of get caught up in the numbers and the metrics and the dollars and everything. But when you do give yourself just like 1 minute, whether it's 5 backers, 50 backers, 500 backers, just give yourself a minute that there's like a living, breathing human being that's working hard, that is choosing to take some of their energy, their money, their time to support your campaign. It's something special. Like, there's a person on the other end of every pledge, and it can be easy to lose track of that sometimes. But one of the ways that we can kind of really stay centered and stay grounded is to remember, like, yeah, there's a person on the other end of everything, and they're helping you make your dream project come true. So the least I can do is take just a little bit of time to acknowledge every single person individually and thank them by name. Okay, I have today's Comics Launch tip of the day, and this is a good one for you. And the tip of the day is to invest in a few key home shipping upgrades if you plan on doing the DIY shipping thing. If you are planning on shipping from home, then you owe it to yourself to make a few key investments in your shipping apparatus at home. DIY shipping is still the top choice for most comic book creator crowdfunders. There are certainly options to outsource your shipping, but I found through the hundreds of creators that I've worked with and most of the guests that I've had on the Comics Launch podcast, most of them are still handling or overseeing all or most of the shipping when it comes to getting their comics and graphic novels out to backers. And there's a number of reasons why this is. Most comic projects are actually a few hundred backers or less. So the actual time it would take to do it from start to finish isn't all that much time. And in some cases, when it comes to finding and interviewing fulfillment partners and doing all the logistics to make sure that they get everything right, you may find that it's actually you're spending almost as much time doing that than to fulfill smaller campaigns. Also, comics need to be packed with care. It's sort of a relatively low-priced item where backers often have very strong feelings about how that book needs to arrive. They want them bagged, they want them boarded, they want them protected in shipping. And so they need to be packed with care. And also, DIY shipping allows for personal touch. I know a lot of us like to sign things or include little sketches or original art or do other cool acknowledgments when we put together our packages and ship them out to backers. And doing it all yourself does allow for easy ability to add that personal touch. So there's a lot of reasons why DIY shipping is the choice for most. But what I want to give you is four essential DIY shipping tools that are worth investing in if you are someone that is going to be doing the DIY thing. And so the first tool is the Gemini Comic Supply Comic Flash Mailer. This is the best way to ship one or more comics. Each of these bundles or each of these comic flash mailers can hold up to 12 comics, I believe, sometimes more depending upon page count. They can also hold multiple graphic novels, hardcovers, soft covers. They're very flexible, and they have a great design that prevents corners from getting bashed during shipping. So Gemini Comic Supply is a long-running sponsor of the Comics Launch podcast, and we do have a discount code ComixLaunch that you can plug in at checkout, and you'll save on every order. But these Gemini Comic Supply flash mailers definitely are an investment. They will drastically reduce the complaints you'll get about damages in shipping and reduce the cost that you'll have to do to reship stuff. So spending a little bit more on a Gemini flash mailer is usually an investment worth making. Another investment worth making is this is one of those often overlooked things when it comes to shipping, something that a lot of people forget to add to their budget. But when I had my first Kickstarter campaign, I realized I spent like nearly $150 on tape, just on tape, to seal all those packages. And so that was a surprise. But one of the things that I've learned over the years is you're going to want to invest in a professional, like high grade, high volume handheld tape dispenser to really make it easy to apply your shipping tape to those Gemini mailers. And then it's also worth it to invest in quiet tape. Now, this might not be as much of an issue for you if you're working in a noisy in a noisy room or a warehouse. Probably not that big of an issue. But if you are doing what I did during my very first Kickstarter campaign, where I was trying to fulfill 400 graphic novels in a small apartment, and my wife is in the other room, I did not know about quiet tape. And she's my fiance at the time, actually, and we were preparing for our wedding, and I'm probably lucky that she went through with it, because for about a month she had to deal with listening to shrimp, shrimp, shrimp It's amazing how loud and how repetitively loud tape dispensers can be. But there is something called quiet tape, which is noiseless or close to noiseless, that will drastically cut down that noise pollution. So if you are sharing an environment with someone else, I strongly recommend it's very minimal extra cost for the quiet tape, but it will be an investment to make. Uline.com has quiet tape, and it has pretty much literally anything and everything that you could use or need when it comes to fulfillment and shipping. So that's a great resource as well. The third essential DIY shipping tool worth investing in is using online shipping software to print your postage, to buy postage, and to print at home, and to print your postage at home. And for years, I was telling creators and recommending different software options that were like monthly fees or a one-time fee to get the service, but the great news is that right now, I believe pirateship.com is the best option for creators, and it is a free option. And they also have some discounted rates that are better than just about anywhere else, especially for international shipping. They have options there that can really save you a significant amount of money. And then avoiding trips to the post office, printing all your postage labels and things at home is definitely worth doing. And so pirateship.com, you get a free account, and it's a no-brainer. And then last but certainly not least, and this is the one that's the biggest investment that I made here, but this is absolutely essential. You're going to want to invest in a Dymo thermal label printer. The 4 by 6 inch version, or the 4XL, is the one you're going to want, because that'll be big enough to print out everything that you need on your shipping labels. And this is one of those things where a lot of creators might balk at it a little bit, because it's an actual investment. Like the $200 to $300 price tag, and it varies, and sometimes there's discounts. Maybe you can, I know a few creators have gotten it for like $150, $160 at some points, but it's usually between $200 and $300 on Amazon and other places. That's going to make a lot of creators feel like this is maybe an unnecessary luxury, but trust me, it is not. It is an essential tool, and it's like a perfect 100% out of 100% of the creators that have heard this advice from me, took this advice from me, and went and bought it. They like immediately within their first Kickstarter campaign realized that it is like the single best investment that they make when it comes to running like any kind of home online business or online shipping. And when it comes to DIY shipping, it is like, it gives you it's professional. It saves you so much time. It's so easy. Like it feels good. Like I can't explain it until you've actually gone and done it. But just in terms of value, I bought my thermal label printer after my first campaign in 2012, and some 15,000 labels printed later for packages that have gone out to customers. This thing is still rocking and rolling. Again, I can't say enough about getting one of these if you plan on shipping at home. Okay. The ComixLaunch Planner is designed with checklists in mind to help you crush your DIY fulfillment. And so there are definitely a complete Kickstarter fulfillment checklist that cover everything from immediately after the campaign to managing your fulfillment process. There's also some tracking sheets to track the products that you're ordering and the vendors that you're using, and whether it comes in or when it comes in. And so it's really designed to help you. But a few smart home shipping upgrades that you'd make now can save you time, money, and headaches later when it's time to fulfill. The ComixLaunch Planner makes it easy to prep for a smooth and successful DIY fulfillment experience from printer to post office. All right. So I hope that helps. And thanks again for tuning in for that tip of the day. And without any more delay, it's time to bring on my guests. So welcome everybody. I'm going to take you all off mute, or feel free to unmute yourselves if you can. And I'm excited to have you here. I'd like to start and with introductions, because one of the fun things about doing these live streams is every time I do them, I'm assembling like a brand new group that is never assembled. And so it's an opportunity for creators to meet other creators, and for me to meet them as well. Here we have, I'll just do short introductions for each creator. We have Ed Hillier, who goes by Ilya, who's an experienced comic strip writer, artist, and editor with hundreds of comics, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, among others, and more than 30 titles to his name. He is currently live with a project that is called ROMO the WolfBoy. But welcome to ComixLaunch. Ilya, how you doing?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I should say I'm in the UK.
In the UK, great.
Yeah.
So a little bit that make it a little bit later in the day, right? So
yeah,
we're having it's at lunchtime where I am, but and I think we have some international representation here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, welcome. It's good to have you here. And what can you tell us about your project, which is live right now, Ilya the WolfBoy?
The project itself, or the Kickstarter experience, or both?
Wherever you want to take us. Maybe start with just what it is, and and we'll let everyone tell the project that they're working on, and then we'll dive into a deeper discussion about the Kickstarter experience at large.
Okay. Yeah, basically it's a book that I've been working on about 12 months out of the last 14, so it's fully completed. 223 pages story-wise. So I'm going to boost that up with extras and chapter interleaving things and things like that. So it'll go up to 256 pages. Wanted to do it properly as a hardback in a format that's called US Royal. So it's roughly equivalent to a comic book size, a standard bookshop size, and full color artwork. You can see some of the spreads there going past. I guess there's a slight departure for me. I've always done stuff that was an adult audience, without meaning the grotty stuff. But I felt we were short of readers, younger readers these days, or any readers actually. So I'm trying to. I picked the thing I wanted to do most, and it's not just for younger readers. It's kind of all ages. But I would say if you're smart and you're 8 years old and up, the stuff I write, I've always written to levels. So anybody can pick it up. It's nothing to offend parents or younger readers or anything like that, unless they're really, really uptight. But there's stuff in there for a teen audience, for an older, YA audience, for people as old as me, basically everyone. And marketing, you're told that there's no longer such a thing, but I mean that's just marketing. And to me, it's a book anybody can pick up and enjoy, and trying to bring that love of comics and drawing and everything else, storytelling to it.
Yeah. Well, great. Congratulations on getting the launch off to a good start. And we'll talk more about it in just a bit. I also want to welcome another first time on the ComixLaunch podcast. We have Allegra here. Allegra is a freelance editor and artist living in Japan. Is in the midst of her first Kickstarter campaign, and is one half of the team behind this really fun-looking project right now called Broke-Ass Cookbook, Japanese-ish food on a budget. So this is one of those projects that everything you need to know is in. It seems like it might be just in the title, which is usually a good thing from a marketing perspective. But tell us a little bit more about the size, scope, and the idea behind this project.
Yeah. So my friend and I had been kind of let go from our job around the same time in one of those kind of like mass expulsions of a lot of people. So we found ourselves kind of broke, living in Japan, trying to find ways to save money. And Yukio is a much better cook than I am, so the recipes are coming from him. But he had this idea of trying to kind of cook authentic Japanese food, but also bringing in a little bit of fusion with like Thai and some Chinese dishes that are like also very popular here, and trying to cook it on a budget. So seeing, going to the supermarket, seeing what's in season, seeing what's discounted, still quality food, but going for, can we tweak this recipe to use a little bit less expensive ingredients? So we wound up doing that a lot together since we had this free time, and that kind of, we put together all these recipes, and we're like, this could be, something that could actually be pretty useful for certainly students living in Japan, but also people abroad who just want to learn how to make Japanese food. Because it can be very daunting to get into when a lot of these recipes are actually quite simple. So we had the idea to kind of make it into this like fully illustrated comic book style, because we both kind of worked in that sphere. Again, Yukio more than myself. He's got more published kind of like how to draw manga type things. But we thought it would be a fun idea to kind of get people who might not be that into cooking normally more into approaching it from a beginner level and getting to cook more Japanese food at home through the medium of comics.
I love it. Yeah, I in my 20s, I spent a semester in Taiwan, and I'll tell you, I never ate so well for so cheap as when I was there. But it was this is a really just beautiful looking book and fun concept, and so I hope you're enjoying your start to Kickstarter and crowdfunding, and we'll talk more about what that's like. Yeah. We also have, for the first time on ComixLaunch, Lisa Medin, who is an author, an illustrator, and comic book artist, and is currently working on an epic humor adventure comic that is in Swedish. So do we also have Sweden represented in this international conversation?
Yes, we do. Thank you so much for letting me be on the show. I gotta admit, when I started thinking about making a Kickstarter, I felt so alone. I didn't know at all what to do. But then I found your podcast, and it was like having a friend who knew exactly what I needed. So I'm so happy to be here. You have no idea.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you here, and that makes me feel great that talking into this microphone to myself can actually impact folks and make them feel like the journey is a little bit less daunting, or at the very least you're not the only one that's on that's a similar march. So
it felt like being part of a community. So, yeah.
That's great to hear. And speaking of getting something off the ground, Medley Encore, it looks like it's doing great, and a lot of time on the clock, and is fully funded and on the rise. And I think this is also kind of inspiring because I know we do have international folks that tune in or looking in, and some may sort of dismiss. It's like, well, I don't maybe if I don't make comics just in English, like is there a market for the stuff that I'm going to be doing? But you're showing that you can launch your comic in your native language and still find an audience on the Kickstarter platform, which is really cool. Can you tell and I also know there's a big a lot of comic fandom for people in the US that love grabbing foreign comics and getting exposed to new stuff from out there. What can you tell us about this book?
Well, so Medley is like the comic that I want to make and have always wanted to make, because when I was like 20 years old, I entered like my first comic convention, table at a comic convention, and I just had this like a fanzine, and it was like the first version of Medley. And then some years passed, it got serialized in a really glossy, nice looking magazine called Utopie, which it means utopia, and it was a utopia because it went under like 2 years later. But in every single number almost. Medley was serialized, and that resulted in the first book that came out in 2013. Yeah, and then unfortunately I had to make money. So I got off the ground as an illustrator. I do lectures and workshops and stuff like that. And time passed, and I just felt like I need the sequel to come out. But the publishing house had gone under. I had nowhere to go, and I just decided to go for it. I felt like I couldn't wait any longer because I had already made the book. I just needed people to know that it was out there. So that was the hardest part, like getting my fans from way back to find me again, and new fans as well. So it's been quite an experience, but it's in large part thanks to having the podcast.
Well, yeah, and I know that story of creators that spent a lot of time building up networks with editors and distributors and publishers, only to find that a publisher goes under, an editor leaves to go do something else, and there's a gap between them and the audience that they've been able to reach. I know that's been something that's been daunting for a lot of creators. So thankfully, we do have platforms like Kickstarter now that do enable that direct connection with an audience. And so, in some ways, like creators that are a little bit like Adriano building Pesto Comics, kind of have some advantages, like to start from scratch, knowing that a big part of their focus is going to be direct connection to that online audience. And so Adriano is our one returning champion. He's been on the ComixLaunch podcast before, but if you don't know him, he is a film school graduate, and he is a prolific writer. He is known for a number of series. He recently had a breakout hit with Naked Kaiju Woman. Sequel to that is coming soon, as also the crazy latte thing called Love. And his wrestling comic is about to go live pretty soon. It's called From Parts Unknown. But welcome back to ComixLaunch, Adriano. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's always fun to be on here. So yeah, good to meet everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Adriano is a little bit more of a veteran now. Isn't it funny, Adriano, how you can go from like just starting to learn this thing to being like a seasoned, grizzled veteran with 9 campaigns under your belt in relatively short order, right?
Yeah, it certainly feels like I was the new guy just yesterday, and suddenly
Yeah.
I'm the vet on the panel. So yeah, it's a weird position to be in, but I'm happy to be here anyway.
Yeah. Well, so for folks that haven't discovered this series from you yet, what is From Parts Unknown all about, and when are you launching?
Yeah, so the goal was initially to launch this this week. However, I've decided to push it just a little bit to make sure that everything is together and proper. I've been going through the ComixLaunch course once more, just as a refresher, to make sure that I can get this whole thing launched properly, because it's the end of the series. So this is the first series that I had launched on Kickstarter. I had done a lot of one-shots, again, taking the advice of the ComixLaunch program to start small. So I, did 2-3 one-shots, and those did progressively better and better. So I finally felt ready to jump into a series. So with From Parts Unknown, we did kind of a rapid release schedule. I had those books coming out every 3 weeks. I'd have 3 weeks for campaign, 3 weeks off, and then the next issue would come out 3 weeks later. Part of the challenge of that is fulfillment, as we were talking about in the intro. So a lot of people are still waiting for issue 3 before they can back issue 4. So I've decided to punt the launch just a little bit. So it'll be coming in the latter end of June, just to make sure that people have the second last book in their hands so they can appreciate the finale and hopefully back it and enjoy it. But yeah, the whole story, it's pro wrestling and vampires. It's it's really deep down. It's a story about brothers. It's the story that while I was listening to ComixLaunch on my long drives to Detroit to watch the Red Wings all the way from Toronto, I'd go with my brother to all those games, and we'd just talk about whatever. So this is kind of my my homage to that, my my version of that. It was these conversations that I was coming up with this idea on the drive there, saying, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if there was a wrestling comic and they ran into some kind of trouble? It started as zombies, it became vampires, and that's the book that we we have here. Walking Dead was the thing. This is how long ago that I've been planning this series. Slowly turn into vampires. That made more sense for the story if you read it. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So to end it, I'm going with a double-sized issue. I just found the pacing. It's been a really slow build with the first 3 issues, and with the last 2, it's all climax. It's all action. It's wrestling. It's vampires. It's all that. So I really wanted to just really end it with a bang and have a really a final blast with this campaign. So yeah, double-sized issue should be a lot of fun. But yeah, so mid-June is when I'm hoping to launch that.
Yeah, and I love that there's a theme with every creator here of just like working on and launching the project that I had to launch, right? I couldn't, like, it was an idea that wouldn't let go, or just kept taking shape and felt like it needed to be out into the world. So Adriano, I'm curious, as you're someone that I know has been listening to some of the recommendations that I've made. Have you made any of those investments in fulfillment that I recommended, that I shared on this? And then is there anything else on a fulfillment side that you would also like just point out as a tip or a trick or something that's invaluable to you?
Yeah, 100%. And I apologize if you can hear my cat, but yeah, so I've got all of it. I have everything. I'm surrounded by it. So the Gemini mailers are the one challenge. So in Canada, they're very difficult to get a hold of. So I use Stay Flats from Uline, and one of the advantages of doing that is you can get that tape dispenser from Uline as like a freebie thrown in if you spend enough with them. So I have boxes and Stay Flats and all that from Uline. And then of course the label printer, that, as you said, like once you get it, it's life-changing. It saves so much time and so much effort from, using a regular printer and cutting out labels with a pair of scissors and taping it to the box. And it's when you're doing multiple packages, you just realize how quickly you're saving time. You hit print and you just see, the 100+ labels pop out, and you just stick them to the package and you're done. And it's life-changing. So it's well worth the investment to get that label printer. Sure, might not feel like it, but absolutely 100%. That's the must of all of the things that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's funny how like there's just like some zen that overcomes creator, like, because like if you've tried to do it at scale like any other way, and then you switch to that, like it is a light bulb going off moment. So yeah, like I appreciate I do feel like I need some other people to validate me so they understand. But
yeah, and I totally get it. Like, it's an investment. It's probably one of the more expensive tools you're going to pick up, but it's well worth. Like, it'll pay itself off in no time.
Yeah, even just like some people are like, well, I have a really good printer at home. It's like, oh yeah, what does that printer run on? It runs on ink. These things don't run on ink. It's just, yeah, it's important. It's good stuff. But so I'm curious for let's see. We do have like it's a nice mix here, because we have myself and Adriano, who are Kickstarter veterans. We have Ilya, Lisa, and Allegra that are all this is their first sort of crowdfunding launch under these campaigns. Maybe start with Ilya. What were your sort of priors to coming to Kickstarter, in terms of like, did you have a lot of experience as a backer? Had you, maybe not, have you been thinking about doing a project on crowdfunding for a long time, or have your feelings about crowdfunding evolved? Like, what were you thinking about coming into this launch, and made this the right project to be start your crowdfunding journey?
I've circled crowdfunding for a long time. I backed, I think it's now 27 projects, so I kind of know that it mostly works. From the customer end of things, and just seeing the success other people are having. And yeah, this felt like the time, that the playing field in terms of publishing for creators is pretty much level now. Certainly within the realm of comics and manga. So yeah, it puts me well out of my comfort zone. I mean, I'm happy making, and drawing. The publicity angle that's necessary in this feels, well, it's very hard work. It's totally unnatural to me, and yes, it's a steep learning curve. And I don't want to become a publisher instead of a creator. I'm a creator. That's what I do. It's where I live and so I guess it's a steep learning curve, and this is very much in the nature of an experiment to see if I can make it, and if I can get to that level where I can employ other people to do the dirty stuff, the dirty work, while I just create back of house, that would be my perfect vision. But I think that's a ways off. And a lot of things are in flux in the world right now. So not least with fulfillment, the mailing out, and so on. I'm limited, pretty much, to keeping my campaign within the UK in terms of the print availability, just because everything else is in chaos.
Yeah. Over here. Apologies to my international friends on behalf of the United States policies that we, from one week to another,
It's not that on its own. Postal charges have gone through the roof internationally in the last 8 years or so. I mean, more than doubled, tripled. It's like this global economy. It's like, why are we doing the complete opposite? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. And just to jump over to Allegra, on this being your first launch, how experienced or how much familiarity with Kickstarter and crowdfunding did you and your partner have, and what were some things that have surprised you so far now that your launch is live?
For me, I really had no experience from the creator end. I'd backed things before, though it's been a while. This was mostly kind of when there was like a big boom when I was in college. So God, that's got to be 10 years ago now or so, when a lot of comics were kind of getting off the ground that way, the kind of more indie stuff. I'm trying to think, like Kate Leth, I think, some that went on to, I know she went on to work on a lot of Adventure Time comics, and another one was Sex Criminals wound up being published. Those were things that got kind of, I was following on Tumblr back in the day, that then kind of I wound up supporting those projects on Kickstarter. So it was kind of something I have in the back of my mind for all these years. And always that kind of oh, I wonder if, maybe I could make that comic I'm always thinking about constantly, and I'm always writing in my head. Maybe that could be a way to do it. But this is my first time really diving into it. And I think I took the plunge because it was a project that we made together, and kind of, it was a bit less scary to jump into with a partner who had a bit more industry experience and had done, worked with publishers before, and was kind of a little bit over it. Let's see if we can do this thing on our own. So
yeah, shout out to Yukio.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's 1 a.m. here, so they are asleep. But that's Japanese time happening. But yeah, so with their kind of knowledge, we felt like we could go into it. It is kind of a scary prospect, especially when it's all or nothing. It's you see progress, but it's that could also kind of disappear if it doesn't reach a certain goal, which is a very scary thing to be doing. So it's very nice to kind of be in this environment, talking to other people, getting more of the creator side of it, because I got on and immediately I'm looking through all the comics. It's I kind of want to collaborate with people, but I found that Kickstarter itself is not all that conducive to creators talking to each other. I think it's just because of like spam things where they're trying to cut down on it. They're like, oh, you messaged a bunch of people, that's suspicious. Like, so that kind of makes you scared to reach out. So it's nice to have like these other platforms, these other ways to do that.
Absolutely. And some good points there. So Lisa, this is also your first time launching, but I know that you've been listening to the podcast, and so I'm sure a lot of the stuff mentally you may have been a little bit prepared for. But as they say, like you can't, you can read every book there is on swimming, but until you jump into the pool, you don't actually know what you don't know. So I'm curious if like anything has surprised you as you're like embarking on this first launch.
Well, I've been thinking about this nonstop for 10 months because 10 months ago I decided I would go for it. People have asked me for years and years, like, why don't you just make a Kickstarter? And I guess it's because I held out hope in a way that a publisher will pick me up. But I know that traditional publishing isn't the one solution. Like, it won't get your book in the hands of people necessarily. You still have to do a lot of work by yourself as an author today. You have to be at different shows and like conventions, and you have to be on like present online, and you have to do a lot of like work on your own. And I have always done that. Like, I've always pushed my own, tooted my own horn, making scenes and stuff. So maybe 2 years ago, I made like a little, how should I put it? A fancy zine, maybe, a little mini publication called Medley Rewind. And it collected 3 short stories that were previously only published in the comic magazine Utopie. And they are in color, whereas my usual Medley comic is in black and white, because I grew up like just around the big manga boom. And so when I make comics, I like lines. What can I say? I like I like the ink. I like the feeling of like black and white. But I really did want to make the sequel bigger, because this is quite a small book. And I was just thinking, what can I bring to the table? What can I do to make people want this? How can I make my case? And that was really difficult for me, because I can tell a fan what they want to hear, but how do I explain to a person who is not yet a fan why they would want to read my comic? And how do I make this case as compelling as possible? So I asked around, like, people I know who made Kickstarters for like role-playing books and stuff, what should I do? And they said, you have to bring it up front, you have to have lots of graphics, you have to be like clear on what you're going to make. And I guess after listening to your podcast, Taylor, I figured, I think I can do this. I don't know how it will pan out, but it turns out in 2 hours, they made it come true. In 1 hour and 58 minutes, my fans actually found me, and they made it come true at the comic festival, no less. So I got a huge round of applause from the room as well.
Oh, that is awesome. Now very rarely, like Kickstarter will send you the email with like a little bit of a confetti burst or something, but very rarely do you actually hear an applause when you get funded. So that's awesome. Exactly. I think creators should have an applause button ready to go on their phone so that they can get that experience.
I think everybody should have that, honestly.
I'm adding that to the checklist. So Adriano, I mean, you're hearing some creators that are in the midst of their first launch, and obviously it's excitement, nerves, like some unknowing. When you think back to that first launch, and then as you're approaching, I think launch number 9 or 10, like how have you grown or evolved since like that first launch, would you say? And just some insights along the way.
Yeah, that first launch was fueled by fear. I was I was so worried about all the things that could happen, that could go wrong. Expectation, not knowing, like, oh, I'm gonna hit this button and no one's gonna know, right? I'm gonna launch and 0 people will be interested, and who wants to hear from me? I'm just a dude in Toronto who had an idea, right? And then you slowly realize that there's a community. There's a community on Kickstarter. There's a community, beyond that. I always talk about the ComixLaunch community. The best part of being in the course is actually the community aspect of it, right? The course is great. It does help you get those foundations in place, but the thing that persists is all the people you meet. I've made friends like in person. Roberto Villacava is a member of the ComixLaunch group that we lived close to each other. We found out through the group, and now we're good friends. We have a podcast together. It's a whole thing that's developed from just again doing that first launch, hitting that button, and getting past those like concerns of like all the things that could go wrong, and not appreciating all the things that could go right over time, and all the people you'll meet, and all the backers and fans that you can get. But it's just that, and you do have to do some certain things. You do have to deliver in a certain way. You have to prove that you're a professional, and you will complete the thing that you promised and get it out to backers, and they will be able to read something for their support, for their pledge. But if you do that, then yeah, there's only, again, it's not perfect. It's not 100% guaranteed, but there's a lot of good things that could come of it if you just get past that initial fear of, will it work? I don't know. Just do it and then kind of see what happens, but make sure you have everything in place to do it right, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love those insights, and I mean the reality is like stuff is going to go wrong. Like I've got a planner coming out. I've been teaching this for years. I've been launching myself. Still haven't done that perfect launch yet.
No.
But
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, still waiting. Maybe the next one. But a B+ launch, an A-, even a C+ launch sometimes is still going to move you forward. Is going to open doors. Is going to make you grow as a creator, and so finding ways to push through all of the reasons not to launch and still get your project out there, I think is something worth celebrating. So I would say that one of the key insights for me, and something that Allegra said, that it was easier for her to launch because she had a partner, and she, to not feel like you're launching alone is definitely a big thing. When I launched my first Kickstarter campaign, part of the thing that I think made it a little bit easier for me to take that leap was that it was for an anthology project. And so while I was going to be the face and the driver and the editor of the project, I had a lot of people that were a part of it that were rooting for its success, and that goes a long way as well. But one of the things that I didn't appreciate early on that I think more creators sort of recognize now is that if you are able to have some success, if you're able to deliver on your promises, like Adriano said, like this is a platform that can be there for you for the long haul. And so like, maybe I'm curious, Lisa, your project is already funded now. Have you allowed yourself to start thinking about what might be next or what might be possible from you on Kickstarter in the future?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Originally the book was like 250 pages, 300 pages, and that was way too much, like too thick of a book. I don't have the funds. I will not be able to like release a book that thick. So what I did was I just sliced it in two. So this book is going to be 152 or 160 pages if I can reach the next stretch goal. And that makes it possible for me to put out this first book. And then if everything goes well, and it looks like it might, I'm planning to put out the second part of this book as the third part on Kickstarter, because it seems like it wasn't too much of a hurdle for people to sign up. Lots of people already have Kickstarter accounts. During the pandemic, lots of people became familiar with the platform. I already had backed several projects, comic projects as well, like video game projects and even a TV series. Like you can back anything and it's pretty easy to do so. So I'm definitely interested in going forward, just continuing to use Kickstarter. It's just, I just feel like everything is so new. I just discovered there is like statistics the other day, like holy smokes, I can see exactly every pledge. It's so useful. But I had no idea, because after all the research I had made, like I just had no idea how much you could do, how versatile this platform is. Not to talk of like how you can reach out to your backers and how you can make updates, and it's really so much more than what I originally thought it would be.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about so some of the analytics that Kickstarter gives you. This is sort of inside my live campaign, and what I'll tell you is, for your first Kickstarter launch, like some of the analytics are cool, and there's some good information there about like where your backers are coming from and how they're breaking down. But what actually gets really interesting is when you have multiple campaigns over time, and you can start to see like returning backer rate and where they're coming from in terms of previous Kickstarter campaigns. Some of that stuff can get really interesting.
On my dashboard, that part is completely blank.
Yeah, so that's going to be blank. But so that's why. My recommendation when people go in now to Kickstarter is think of your first launch as, hey, what's the next milestone in a grander vision for yourself? Like there was an exercise that I used to do when I this was something it's been a long time since I've done them, but like I would do these 5-day comic book Kickstarter challenges, and one of the exercises in one of those days was just like, hey, where do you want to be career-wise in 5 years? What do you want to have created, and things like that. And the reason I asked that thing is because I want creators to get thinking not about the upcoming Kickstarter as like the be all and end all, or the ultimate thing that it's got to be this huge thing that's make or break, and that's the moment, and after that, who knows? But rather just take the next logical step in where you're trying to go career wise. And so that kind of mindset and mentality definitely helps. I'm curious, Ilya, obviously this is your first test with crowdfunding under your own platform, and I think you're not alone in sort of feeling like the weight of going from an illustrator and creator to having to wear every single hat. But assuming this works for you, are you bullish, or at least interested in doing more on the platform?
Absolutely. I mean, I got a big backlist, and I've always hung on to my creator rights throughout my career, often at cost to myself and not at cost to my career. But creative rights are probably the most important thing, and I would say to everybody out there, always license your work. Never sorry, what's the word? You don't cede your rights. They pay to use your material in agreed terms or for an agreed period. You don't cede your copyright in anything, because it's what you've made, and it will be your livelihood. I mean, yeah, for me, this is the project I always wanted to do. There's 8 books in my head. 2 of them are well advanced, because this is actually the third one that I have committed to, and the other 2 are well advanced. But this one actually belongs in front, because it's how my 2 central characters meet. So everything's riding on this, really, the success of this for me. Can I ask a question in terms of, because I am completely new to this?
Yeah,
I'm learning as I go, and things like what you provide, Tyler, are so helpful in the sense that there is a community out there with experience. So I came out the gate pretty well. I'm 9 days in of the 30 days. Within the first 2 or 3 days, I got about the amount that I've got showing there, which is not quite halfway to my goal. And I chose a fairly ambitious goal for a hardback book of the length it is. And I feel I have the support of my immediate community. But what I'm now struggling with is how do I get to that wider general public? I invested in a video that I thought would help and do the job, and it's up on YouTube. But the banging of the drum I'm having to do, because what I'm finding is that 9 days in, at least the last 4 days, really, it's not moved. And that gives you tremendous nerves because you think, am I going to make it? That's every waking thought. And I try not to look at it now because every time I do, it's like, oh, still not moved.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing for me is, how do I get to that Kickstarter community, that all the things I've written to all the people whose stuff I backed, because some of it's games, but most of it's comics, and try to G them up to kind of show the love back. And there must be watchers out there. I have no way of logging all the statistics. I can't see. Maybe I can. I don't know it. But there must be people watching and waiting and just seeing how the campaign goes. Sweep in, hopefully, toward the end. But and ComixLaunch people are, please come and check it out because you're a community and you're my community if you do comics and manga. So
absolutely. Lisa, did you have some thoughts for Ilya?
Yeah, I can. I'm dying to know. Did you do a pre-launch? You're still at launch. No, you're live. Yeah. Did you do a pre-launch page? And if so, did you have like people who signed up, like put their interest in your work? Like if you put up a pre-launch page, how many people subscribe to it? I think.
I understood that's what I should do. And I think, well, I certainly did it. And it's as many bells as whistles as now on the launch page, which it's swapped to. And I'm actually pulling some of the resources I made for the pre-launch page and using them now as part of the campaign. I was surprised that I think a lot of my people, maybe it's an older generation thing, but they didn't necessarily immediately understand what the commitment meant. They say, you don't have to pay any money. It's a pledge. It's a pledge of support. This is just a pledge to get notified that the launch is coming. So I did get numbers and I did get people, and I don't know how they did it because I'm not that familiar what button they pressed to already be backers, but they were already backers even though they hadn't put any money down the line and I hadn't shown them the pledge prices or what you get for your pledge. They'd expressed their interest in a further way that I'm not even sure how that happened. But yes, I think mostly it's my email campaigns, the videos I've used. It's driving people to it who aren't necessarily used to Kickstarter, and I'm familiar with it, having backed so many projects myself. But and the thing of viewing on a phone, I find it mind-boggling. I do everything on the desktop because I can't handle phones of the tiny size, and I get lost, in the interface there. But I'm having to do things on phones now because so many things like the URLs are not live unless you're using the apps. And on the phone, so that's been a learning curve. You have to get on the phone and use the app. And I guess it's no problem for you guys, but
to be fair, the UI in the browser version, like the phone browser version of Kickstarter, is hilariously not made for the small screen. It's really difficult to get all the information. I also vastly prefer desktop mode. You can get everything up there and it's a lot easier to get around and understand what you're looking at. And also I keep getting logged out of Kickstarter using it on the phone. I guess it's a safety measure, but still, I understand exactly what you mean.
Cool. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. So just a few thoughts, and then I want to see if Adriano has any ideas for you. You mentioned not being sure if there are people following your campaign. Kickstarter does show you your follower count in your dashboard. So that's would be one thing that you might want to check. And it'll also show how many people that have followed your campaign have already backed it. So that will give you a sense of how many other people are out there that will get notifications as your campaign comes to a close, etc. And so that's one indicator that you can look at. And also it's one of those things that, like, even if the campaign dollar amount isn't budging or the backer count's not budging, if you can at least look and say, oh, well, I got 10 more followers, that's a sign that there's progress. That's sign that, like, the email that I sent might not have been in vain, or the tweet, or the whatever you're doing to promotion. More is more. And when you get to the middle of the campaign, or then the Kickstarter, that's the hardest time for your Kickstarter to actually turn visitors into backers. But know that, like, the repetition of messaging, the continuing to show up is one of those things that is usually a part of having a big home stretch. In the campaign that I'm just doing, past like the mid stretch is always less than the beginning, and but hopefully you will see a surge near the end. And just like statistically, looking at your campaign right now, like a couple of metrics that just, I always keep in mind is to understand, like, when you set your goal, you're basically saying to yourself, all right, what level am I going to set? What level am I going to play this Kickstarter game at? Right. And so like 14,000 in US, it's converted it for me. But $14,000 goal, that's like a top 23% project or so in terms of funding raised. So like you're kind of set, it's maybe top 20, top 23, somewhere around there. But it's basically saying like, all right, I'm playing a game at a higher level than 8 out of 10 people that play Kickstarter are going to achieve, right? So you already kind of set the dial a little bit high. So that's one thing that I consider. Another thing I consider is like, all right, well, where is the campaign now? And it looks like you're at about 36% funded. Statistically, the old Kickstarter rule of thumb is that projects that can get to 30% or more actually have about a 90% chance of ultimately getting funded. And the more you can, and the more you can get, and then when you get to like 50%, your odds go up to like 95, and when you can get to 60, like 60 or 60%, your odds go to like 99. So as crowdfunding gravity pulls in. And so that's why, if you haven't checked it out, Ilya, I did the video should be up on the ComixLaunch YouTube right now, but there's a strategy called the milestone goal strategy, which is something that I would encourage you to implement. And that's basically where you start saying, okay, I got 20 days left to go, and I've got to get to $14,510. I do not want to make my messaging over the next 20 days how far I am to $14,510. Instead, I want my messaging to be, look how close I am to 40% funded. Then once you get there, and have something cool that happens when you get 40% funded. It could be a digital extra, it could be a sketchbook, could be sharing something. And then once you get there, you celebrate that, and then the messaging switch to, hey, 50% is right around the corner. And something cool is going to happen at 50%, so that the messaging is always, how awesome is it that we just passed this milestone, and how close we are to that next milestone. That's how you run a mile without quitting, and that's how you get a Kickstarter funded, even when it's on sort of a slower pass and not like an instant fund.
That's great. I mean, I think partly the American mindset, really helps rather than the British mindset, and I have learned how to do that to some extent. But am I right in thinking that in terms of that messaging, people know to look at the updates, because really that's my forum for saying, hey, we're here. Hey, we're here. People do look at the updates. Is that right?
So everybody that backs your Kickstarter campaign is going to get an update message to them through Kickstarter. But that's only the 75 people that are currently backing you on Kickstarter. So yes, you're going to messaging them there. But when I'm talking about this milestone bonus strategy, I want that messaging to be, that's for your fence sitters. That's for the people on your email list, or that are following you on social media, or are pretty much anywhere that you're connected. Like, those are the people that could back, should back, would back, but they've got a million other things to do, and they need that little extra nudge, that little extra reason, not just to back, but why backing now could do something cool. And that, because like, if you take, it's kind of about 1/3 of the human population are sort of in that I'm a fence sitter, but if I have a little extra nudge, I'll do it. Otherwise, they are either I'm in there day one or I'm not backing at all, or I'm no matter what, it's always gonna be a last minute thing. It's weird how just human behavior is, but people are predictable in that sense. And so when you're in the middle of the campaign, it's like just those extra little reasons to back now and why and to make their backing make a little bit of motivation. That's why like anytime I get close to like a cool milestone like 100, or it's like just putting out who's going to push us to backer 500, like I'll send that out at $4.99, and the next time I check we'll be at $5.03, because it's enough. It's just enough of a nudge for the people that are already kind of like in the mindset of I want to see this project funded. So that's my thoughts. I don't know. Adriano is somebody that's been through a lot of dead zones already. What do you have any advice for Ilya?
Yeah, absolutely. So the dead zone sucks. It's it's the worst part of every campaign, but you just have to understand that it's kind of like a bathtub the way that Kickstarters fund. So you get a big first day, second day, and then it really tails off, and then it's quiet, and then those last couple of days, and part of that's because Kickstarter's sending updates to everyone saying, hey, 48 hours left, 8 hours left, and that's where you're going to get a lot of those followers, those fence sitters converting. So we were talking about advanced analytics. Those are very useful because in terms of trying to find out where those people are, you could look at those advanced analytics. It'll tell you where your backers had come from. And you can say, okay, I did posts on Blue Sky, or I did posts on Twitter or wherever. And you could see where you're getting most of your traction. And at least you know where to focus your energy, right? You're not going on TikTok and getting no backers and you're putting all your energy into TikTok for some reason, right? At least okay, if I'm on Blue Sky, I'm just picking things out of the air here, right? But if I'm on Blue Sky, I seem to get a lot of traction there. So I'm going to be really noisy on Blue Sky and hopefully get more of those people that are watching to actually come in and back. And real quick, since we have a lot of first-time creators here, make sure that you download your advanced analytics before your campaign ends, because it disappears and you will never get it again. So it's very useful for future campaigns for the very same reason, because you can look at where is all my audience coming from, right? And you can then okay, I'm not going to spend my time trying to be on every platform everywhere, or spend a whole bunch of money on advertising in one platform over the other. You can look and see, okay, most of my people are here. It doesn't mean you should ignore every other platform, but you know where you're going to get most of your results from. And it's those analytics that are going to help you to decipher that, because they'll tell you this person clicked the link that you posted on Blue Sky. So now that is maybe where you should spend more of your time than everywhere else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that is a great bonus tip and a great reminder, Adriano, because that is definitely something that is good data to have.
Yeah. I kind of have a question that piggybacks off that. I feel like the answer might kind of be the same thing, but I have been doing exactly what you said not to do. Basically, it's just like, I made a TikTok. I've been like, Reddit, just like anything I can think of to like try to bring people in. But something that we noticed is that we have like quite a lot of followers that have not been converted into backers. I think we have like almost 40 backers, something in like the 90 to 100 range of followers, but our like conversion rate is pretty low. I think it was like 8% or something. So I'm like, okay, we have these people who are interested enough to at least be following it. Like, how do we nudge them to like actually become a backer? Because it's like, just looking at the numbers, it's like, we are almost at 40% funded now with just the like almost 40 people. It's like, if all of those followers, even if they did a low tier, if we could convert them, and of course, it's never going to be 100%, but if just a lot of them could be converted, it's like we could be there. It's just like, so how do we reach those people specifically? The people who have clicked follow, but who are like, maybe later about like actually backing it.
Yeah. So I will say that this is the number one frustration for creators that launch on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter makes that follower count present, and it's a big number, and they show you that percentage, and there is absolutely zero thing that you can actions that you can specifically take to push an extra message or to track or to connect with those followers. Followers don't get your project updates. The only thing that followers are going to get is a message a couple days before your campaign ends, and then one like 8 hours before it ends. So the good news is an 8% follower rate or an 8% conversion rate is actually pretty low. By the end of most campaigns, creators usually see between 20 and 40 follower conversion rate. So it could be that's a lot of potential backers that are out there. I also do wonder, Allegra, if just because of the branding of your book, Broke-Ass Cookbook, it appeals to the people that are a little frugal. So these are going to be people that are going to have to see more and are going to have to keep hearing about it. And they're going to have to be reminded at the very end to actually go and back. And so what I want you to, the mindset that I want you to take, and this might be our can-do American spirit, as Ilya pointed out, but I want you to take the mindset that like those people are coming in, no matter what, like 30-40% of those people are coming in. And so you need to act as if they are your ideal customer. And what does your ideal customer need? They need proof that the juice is worth the squeeze, right? And that this is gonna, actually, be, a book that they need. And so, so I don't mind you being out there and putting out content and doing stuff out there and showing things and just having fun with this, because that kind of spirit is infectious, and it will bring those people to the table. Unfortunately, and this is something that a lot of people have suggested to Kickstarter, and who knows if they ever listen, but there is no way for you to broadcast direct to that those followers that aren't yet in there yet. But but know that they will get messaged before your campaign is over, and so that is a good thing.
Yeah, that's definitely good to know. It's like a bit nail biting that it's like left to the end, but it is good to know that there will be that like final push for sure.
Yeah, but I would also say for you all to think about that milestone bonus strategy. I mean, you're closing in on 50%, it looks like. So come up with something that you guys can do to celebrate. Maybe it's making a new meal together, or adding a little bonus, or things like that. But just giving a target that you can hit, and then that you can celebrate, can go a long way to making sure that momentum feels that progress is happening.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. I appreciate y'all joining me for this conversation. And yesterday we had Sam Cusick from Kickstarter. He's the head of outreach over there. And there was a segment of the podcast that kind of devolved into creators sharing their like number one feature or change or tweak to the Kickstarter platform that they would love to see that Sam had to listen to. But I'm all for keeping those coming and keep pushing the platform to be as good as it can be. Curious if you had one thing that you would request or would like to see a little bit different or improve, what would that be? As you come up with something, you can just put your hand up and let me know if you've got an idea. Allegra, yeah.
I know, I was just talking. But aside from being able to like push like to followers, like an email or something like that, I would like if there was more of a kind of like creator community, like a way for creators to talk to one another, support one another. Because again, like I know that like they've really had to crack down on spam. Like we've received our share of spam, and it's like I feel like that's kind of the guiding principle behind like being like, don't message too many people, don't do this. But it would be really nice if there was a space maybe that people could opt into, so that no one wants to be spammed with like a bunch of offers they're not interested in. But if creators could be like, I'm open to being reached out to by other creators, I'd like to reach out to other creators. And it's just like just scrolling through, it's hard to know like who is cool to like message and who's like, don't message me unless you're like a Supreme backer or something like that. So yeah, just kind of, I don't know if that's more of like something that would be like a Discord, maybe something separate from Kickstarter itself, but it would be nice to have more of a community place for people to come and kind of just as creators themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Lisa, what would be on your wish list?
Well, I would really appreciate it if the Kickstarter app was also made for creators. I don't really mind the Kickstarter app as it is, but it's really weird that I can watch my page in pre-launch and it will not even, like, the syntax is like, you launch this on blank. Like, it can't comprehend that it's like my free page. So I would really like it if like there was maybe a separate app for creators, so that I could have like every part of like every piece of information at hand, and also like, yeah, being able to contact people who are potential backers. Like, I want them to know that if you get on this Kickstarter, you will make my book become like thicker. You can make a difference. I would really love that.
Ilya, did you have
pretty much what you and Lisa both said? Just in terms of being able to wider outreach to people who, I mean, I'm going to have to go and really pay attention. Yes, like you say, to the follower count, and that might give me hope more than the hope, the extra push I need right now in the dead zone. But yeah, I'd like to have facilities. I just need more people than I know. And it is that side of it, the publicity trail, that I'm finding the most difficult. Even having made a video, it's like, how do I get people to just look at this video, who aren't already on the page or already committed? It's complete strangers. I need them. I'm hungry. Feed me. So it's that. It's like the wider outreach. Even if you're among 100 people and you have to stand out, just some facility to be able to. Yeah, I put stuff in the updates, but if only my backers are seeing that, that's not enough.
Right. Yeah. You have to have some other venues for getting the message out to bring new people in. That said, it's important to understand that your existing backers, in many cases, can be the fastest way for you to bump your pledge levels. Because when someone's got their wallet open, that's the time when they're most likely to spend more money. And so doing things like daily art drops or like leaning into your art, having a online art sale during the middle of your Kickstarter campaign, that can be the kind of thing that your existing backers might up their pledges to snag some original art or a cool new piece. I've even had we've had success where we try to engage our backers and ask them for ideas for like warm-up sketches or for sketches to do. You crowdsource a list of cool things that people want you to draw. You draw them and then you sell them to those backers as warm-up sketches, and it's super. It's a technique that can definitely help bridge the gap. Adriano, did you have anything on your wish list?
I do. So I'm going to repeat one from yesterday. So yeah. I've backed over 1,000 campaigns, and that's great. However, a trend that's been happening on Kickstarter lately is people spamming their old campaigns and messaging on every single campaign all at once. So your inbox is filled with "please back my campaign, please back my campaign, please," and it gets, if anything, it's counterproductive. So as a creator, I would say, if you're going to message your previous backers, try to make it unique and individual for that campaign. Like, understand that, yes, there may be the same people through each one, but also there's different people in each one, and speak to them directly. It's like, link it to that campaign that you're talking about. Instead, what we're seeing is a lot of copy paste. So if there was a way to prevent that or manage that or do something, or even just have a way to make the unsubscribe easier, would be wonderful. But right now I'm seeing a lot of bad practices in terms of that, of just a lot of spamming. Effectively, you're copying and pasting the same message to dozens of campaigns in some cases, and yeah, I don't find that to be effective. If you want to speak to your backers directly and say, hey, remember me when we did this first issue, this is where I was at, and now we're at issue 12, look at that, right? And have an individual message for each. I'll read those. I want to hear your story. I'm supporting you as an indie because I want the person behind the campaign to, you know, I have like a pseudo relationship with you. I want to know more about you. But if you're just spamming, hey, I have a new one, please back it, that's not gonna convince me to back. So from a Kickstarter point of view, I'd love a way to manage that. But from a creator point of view, yeah, if you're gonna do it, there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it. So definitely lean to the more personal and direct way of communicating with people than just spamming and saying back me, back me, back me. You'll get ignored real fast.
Yeah, that's definitely a common request from creators. Well, this has been great. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Good to get to know all of you. I want everyone to have a chance to just point out one cool reward or thing that they have coming up for their Kickstarter. Just one little thing to share that people might want to check out. We'll start with Ilya and ROMO the WolfBoy, which is live on Kickstarter.
Can you run it in reverse order? Because I've got to look on my thing and see what it might be.
Yeah, so we got a series of pledges here.
I guess I don't know. I got a little lost with the add-ons thing, so I had to put it all into the pledge tiers. But I guess it's I can draw in the book, you know. I can do a sketch in the book, or sell a print in the book. I guess one of the things I'm offering, you know, because there's so many pages, I'm offering the choice of a spread. So there's any double page spread in the book. You can choose that, have that printed on super posh paper. And I would include that in the package, you know. So it's like a giclée print almost, but even nicer because it's on a rough cartridge type paper. You know, which is really amazing inks that a friend of mine does. So yeah, I think that's the thing. You can have a premium thing of your choice, and you do that via the digital PDF, which people can get. You know, I would send that in advance and say pick your spread, and we'll do it.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely hopefully that some people take you up on that. Lisa, you have 27 days to go for Medley Encore, already funded. But if there's one, is there anything in particular you want to point out or want backers to check out that you're excited about?
Yeah, so I was thinking I should maybe exclusively for this discussion tell you about my secret stretch goal, maybe, because I am very happy about my pledge levels. They range from, okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and use really simple, like from like $25 approximately to $250. And on the $250 tier, you get like an original free original from my original book, like the first book. But my stretch goal, as you can see, I have blacked out 80,000 Swedish crowns, which is, let's see, I made a little calculation here. It's about 8,367 US dollars, I suppose. If we reach that goal, it's blacked out right now, but just for you, the top secret tier is, if we get to that tier, if we get to that stretch goal, I will reprint this book in a much bigger, nicer format. And this baby is like 224 pages. So these really beautiful pictures, if I may say so myself, they deserve a bigger format. And I will give them that if we reach that stretch goal. I know it's a long way off. Like, I need a lot of more backers for that to happen. But I couldn't even begin dreaming about it when I started this Kickstarter this Saturday. Like, I thought it was never possible. I just put it up there as a joke for myself, pretty much. But my backers have proved that apparently they do want this book. So I'm hoping we can get there. And lots of people have asked me for a long time. So yeah.
Well, that's exciting stuff, and honestly, you're on the warpath. You're on the road to it. So, you know, if you can dream it, it may be possible. I love it.
I hope so.
Allegra, for the Broke-Ass Cookbook, anything in particular you want to call out or shine a light on that you're particularly pleased with?
Yeah, I think we've got two pretty cool tiers, a bit on the pricier side, but one of them is that you can have kind of a chibi portrait of yourself drawn by either myself, which is kind of more Americanized, so think a bit more like Powerpuff Girls or Husband Hotel type chibi, or my partner has their tier as well, and they'll do it in more of a kind of manga anime style chibi. You can order a postcard of that, you can order a print of that, and it will also be like in the back of the book itself, along with a thank you. And then the other cool thing we have is kind of a care package from Japan, which has some like ingredients, some food, some like chopsticks and that kind of thing that is just, you know, you can use to make the food in the book. You can use to eat the food in the book, and it's just kind of a personalized thing. We'll put in some like nice snacks and stuff like that. So if you want a little taste of Japan along with what you're cooking yourself, that's a good option.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Really, really on brand and leaning into the themes of it. So, well, I wish you guys the best of luck with this project. I hope it keeps moving forward. And then Adriano, you've got a double-sized launch coming up for From Parts Unknown, wrapping up the series. Anything in particular you're hoping to do to make this the slobber knocker it needs to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So with every issue, we've had a couple of variant covers. We're doubling that as well. We're going crazy with the variant covers. So in total, there should be 14 or 15 different covers for the entire series. And if you want them all, they will be at a much discounted rate in bundles. And then the same goes for the entire backlist. So if you want everything I've made, like Naked Kaiju Woman, very popular. If you didn't jump on that, bundles are the way to go, because I am doing them almost at cost with how much of a discount I'm trying to offer just to get the books in everyone's hands. So the ticket price might be a little high, but the value you get with the bundles is as high as I could possibly make it without losing my shirt. So I'm really hoping that people back those anyway. As much as I will suffer in doing so, I really want people to get as many of the books in their hands as possible. So the shipping tips are very useful, because shipping those big hefty packages that'll be near 30 comics by the time if you do everything I've ever made, it'll be well worth it for you. So yeah, bundles are the thing I would say.
I love it. Well, thank you all. I had a great time spending some time with y'all and talking comics and crowdfunding and Kickstarter, and I appreciate you sharing your experience with the audience that's out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody else out there, thank you for tuning in, and we can't wait to see what you launch next. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you all.
Thanks.
The Comics Launch Planner is going to give you a roadmap so you can launch confidently, whether this is your first campaign or you've launched a bunch. Hey, I'm George O'Connor. I've kickstarted 10 projects raising over $50,000, and ComixLaunch is a big reason for my success. Tyler has studied Kickstarter for over a decade, and he's going to help you avoid pitfalls and give you the best insights to make sure that you and your project shine on the platform. He's also going to help you with the mental aspect so you can stay sharp and positive and professional throughout the entire launch. This planner is going to give you the tips and insights Tyler's created from over the years of studying the platform and helping hundreds of people launch their projects. As someone who's been with Tyler since the beginning of ComixLaunch and has absolutely benefited from his insights and trainings, I cannot recommend the ComixLaunch Planner enough.
I've been using the tools from ComixLaunch since 2020 to run all these successful Kickstarter campaigns. When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks. He really has this great way of putting everything together and making it so easy to tackle. So something big and challenging like a Kickstarter campaign becomes really easy to do when it's broken down into these steps. My name is Melissa J. Massey, purveyor of fine fantasy comics and tragic shenanigans. I would recommend this to anyone who wants to launch a book or a comic on Kickstarter. It really breaks down the process and helps you to position yourself well so that you can stand out and deliver a fantastic book to your audience. I mean, the results don't lie, and the pile's getting a little hard to hold, so check out the ComixLaunch Planner. It's going to be the best investment you make for yourself and for your creative business.
Before ComixLaunch, I struggled to raise $3,000 on my first campaign. And since joining ComixLaunch, I have raised more than $370,000 across more than 30 campaigns. That's a huge difference. It's quantifiable. Hey everybody, it's Clay Adams. I'm the writer of Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, Dream Quest, co-writer of Carmilla Unbound, Prodigal Son, and co-editor of the Nightmare Theater horror anthology. I wish I had this planner years ago. Tyler, what are you doing? Get on this. Start shipping these things out. Can we just skip the campaign? Let's go.
The Comics Launch Planner is going to give you a roadmap so you can launch confidently, whether this is your first campaign or you've launched a bunch. Hey, I'm George O'Connor. I've kickstarted 10 projects raising over $50,000, and ComixLaunch is a big reason for my success. Tyler has studied Kickstarter for over a decade, and he's going to help you avoid pitfalls and give you the best insights to make sure that you and your project shine on the platform. He's also going to help you with the mental aspects so you can stay sharp and positive and professional throughout the entire launch. This planner is going to give you the tips and insights Tyler's created from over the years of studying the platform and helping hundreds of people launch their projects. As someone who's been with Tyler since the beginning of ComixLaunch and has absolutely benefited from his insights and trainings, I cannot recommend the ComixLaunch Planner enough.
I've been using the tools from ComixLaunch since 2020 to run all these successful Kickstarter campaigns. When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks. He really has this great way of putting everything together and making it so easy to tackle. So something big and challenging like a Kickstarter campaign becomes really easy to do when it's broken down into these steps. My name is Melissa J. Massey, purveyor of fine fantasy comics and tragic shenanigans. I would recommend this to anyone who wants to launch a book or a comic on Kickstarter. It really breaks down the process and helps you to position yourself well so that you can stand out and deliver a fantastic book to your audience. I mean, the results don't lie, and the pile's getting a little hard to hold, so check out the Comics Launch Planner. It's going to be the best investment you make for yourself and for your creative business.
Before ComixLaunch, I struggled to raise $3,000 on my first campaign. And since joining ComixLaunch, I have raised more than $370,000 across more than 30 campaigns. That's a huge difference. It's quantifiable. Hey everybody, it's Clay Adams. I'm the writer of Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, Dream Quest, co-writer of Carmilla Unbound, Prodigal Son, and co-editor of the Nightmare Theater horror anthology. I wish I had this planner years ago. Tyler, what are you doing? Get on this. Start shipping these things out. Can we just skip the campaign? Let's go.